Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to talk about 5 characters that we want to mod for maximum health. Max health modding is, in many ways, there's some characters that are very obvious, that it's like General Grievous. He literally says, like, I want max health. Old Daka, like, that makes sense. But there's some other characters in the game who we really want to mod for max health, even though it doesn't necessarily call it out crazily in their kit. There's some other things that get called out that you might think about. So we're going to look at these characters. Like and subscribe, comment. Let's give a huge shout out to the channel members for all their continued support. If you're ever interested, that link is down below, along with a link to the Discord. And the Discord, one of the best places, a lot of really good stuff. And again, channel members, if you guys ever have a question, you know, DM the members only section, like a DM often if it's like a big emergency or something. That's the best place. Otherwise, the Discord, really good place to ask questions and get some good feedback. So very much appreciate all of you guys. So what characters want some health mods here? Let's get into the first one. And what sparked this was I had a couple of players asking me how to mod a very specific character. Not our king, even though he is very good. It is modding Commander Tano. I had a bunch of guys reach out and say, how do you mod Commander Tano? She's one we want modded for max health. Now, what we're going to do with Commander Tano, we're going to deep dive a little bit more of why we want to mod her for max health. And then the rest of the characters will just kind of be a shorter explanation. So with Commander Tano, the first thing you want to look at is through all of her different abilities, is there anything kind of calling out a certain kind of modding? So look here, like, okay, special damage. All right, this is a turn meter pass. They can deal. Okay, so nothing changing here. Like, notice there's nothing that says like, oh, she gains max health or she gains offense stacking, right? This ability, the Shane, will reduce the cooldown of her Force Leap and increases the damage by 50% until the next time it's used. But that's reliant on other people taking turns, okay? Then you have the Force Leap itself. Instantly defeat the first time, otherwise deal damage. Reset cooldown by 4, inflicting armor shred. So, again, nothing that's really calling out. Like, so far you'd say, I really want her modded for damage. Then we get into her unique. So she's got 50% offense and critical damage. So, okay, seems like she really wants offense and critical damage. And if another light side unaligned force user, Galactic Republic, or Scoundrel is present, she also has 50% health and defense and shares all of these bonuses with her light side allies. If there are fewer allies than enemies, the bonuses to offense, critical damage, health, and defense are increased by 10% for each Galactic Republic or Scoundrel ally. Now things get interesting. Now we're calling out health, now we're calling out defense, and she's going to share all those bonuses with her light side allies. So note that you can't really use her with Starkiller and give him any of those bonuses. It's only the light side allies that benefit from Commander Tano's unique here. So, and that's dependent on Galactic Republic, Scoundrel, or light side unaligned force users. So kind of specific there. So why do you want to mod her for health is because of this unique. This is the best part of her kit. Commander Tano, I think, often gets, you know, we use her as this attacker, but her unique is making the entire team hit harder. The entire team have more health and defense. So she's often the priority target. And then you want to think about where you use her. Like, what teams do we use with her? And those most common leaderships, I want to move these up so I can keep her there. But the most common leaderships are Jedi Master Kenobi, Rey, and Padme. Let's start with Rey. Why would she want, you know, health with Rey? Because Rey's going to give out additional max health. And damage immunity when they fall below that health, and then they recover health when they lose that damage immunity. There's nothing about protection in Rey's kit. So now you put Commander Tano with Rey, you're boosting Rey's health, offense, defense, making this team so much more difficult to beat. So if you try and kill Rey while Commander Tano's alive, number one, that Force Leap is getting closer and closer to going off. But more importantly than that, everybody's juiced by 50%. So it's harder to get through Rey because she's got more health and more defense, and then she's even hitting harder. So Commander Tano kind of becomes the priority target in that team. If you're using her with Padme, Padme's leadership also gives out 50% maximum health, and then talks a lot about protection up. Remember, protection up is based on max health. It's not based on any kind of protection number, it's maximum health. So the more protection up, the more health you have, the more that protection up provides to you. I don't know the exact like for like, but it's a lot of, like, it's all based on your max health. So you get a lot of protection up if you have more health. which is exactly the same thing as Jedi Master Kenobi, who 1000% will steal Commander Tano once you get him. He loves Commander Tano. Commander Tano's literally bae to him for some reason, which is kind of weird because she was Anakin's Padawan, but, you know, anyway. Again, more max health gains, but the bigger part is Galactic Republic allies gain 75% protection up for 4 turns. So she's going to gain a lot of protection up in this team, which means that it's harder to get through her. So by modding her for that max health, because again, in that Kenobi team, she's the priority target. She's always almost always the first kill, except in mirror matches where sometimes you maybe kill the other team's, you know, General Kenobi. But normally you're targeting her first because she's the biggest threat. You think she's passing turns, dealing a lot of damage, and keeping everybody alive with all those extra bonuses. So with Commander Tano, by reading just her kit, you'd think that offense would be a good way to go. But once you read where you're going to use her, that max health starts to make a lot more sense. So when you go into her mods, what you'll see is that I've modded her for a lot of health, right? Tried to find health everywhere I could, and then speed. Because we do want her to be fast, right? You want her to be fast. You want her to have a good lot of health because it's just going to make her a much more difficult character to take out in any fight. And that's why I think she's the first one. And hopefully by seeing that thought process of walking through all those different leaderships and things that are kind of compounding together, you see why health makes more sense. Because just reading that kit one for one, offense seems the best way to go. But when you look at it in the context of the leaderships, we start getting to that max health. The next character on this list is Admiral Rus, where again, this is all about, so yes, in his Omicron, it calls out max protection, but here's the bigger thing. In the regular leadership, you're going to gain 10% max health for each Rogue One ally. So, okay, we're gaining some additional max health, and that's at all times. So, Grand Arena, Territory Wars, Territory Battles, 10% max health at the start all the time. Definitely like that. But Spark of the Rebellion and Protection Up mentioned there, and when you read Spark of the Rebellion here, and gaining additional protection up here, and then as we go down a little bit more, you see more protection up. Protection up again based on max health. So the more protection up that we can get from this character, the more max health we stack, the harder it is to get through that protection up. And that can oftentimes stall out a lot of players. That you get that protection up on him, and it's very hard to get through him, which means that he can then use his hope ability and basically wreck everybody, and stuff goes downhill fast. So, health, very, very important on him because we're trying to take advantage of all that protection up they're getting. Again, see here, look, grant the weakest ally protection up. The whole team really wants health, but he's the key. He's the biggest key to this team, him and Jyn Erso. Mod them for that health. That way they're a lot harder to get through that protection up, get them to 100% upload progress. Again, I know it sounds crazy because you're like, Phil, well, what about, protection up? Like, what if we can't get it? Remember, Jyn makes all allies immune to buff immunity, right? If you go to Rogue One here, come on thing. Very laggy blue stacks right now. I do apologize. Come on, this is ridiculous. Let me close out of this one. Come on. Of course, my blue stacks is just like gonna take a dump on me here. But as I'm trying to click through, let's just restart this. So, as we kind of continue through, right, we're trying to get to Admiral Rus there. Jyn Erso, another one that if we can mod for max health, will be far better off in the game because what Jyn Erso will be able to do is she'll take more turns, right? Or take more turns. God, I can't talk. I'm so turnt because of that stupid blue stacks crash. With Jyn Erso modded for maximum health, you're also taking advantage of that protection up. So maybe we kill Admiral Rus. But if Jyn uses that revive ability and it happens to bring back Admiral Rus, ooh, that fight goes downhill really, really quick. So by kind of utilizing max health for that team, yes, you're opening them up to expose damage from the Bad Batch, but Admiral Rus has a lot of tenacity baked into his kit. So all of a sudden that protection up with that combined with that tenacity, he really, really starts rolling and causing a lot of problems for players. That maximum health really starts to make a big difference in that team. Come on, blue stacks. What are we doing here? Taking forever. So I'm going to, as we get into loading here, I hope you guys are still watching. what I want to make sure you understand about max health modding is that there's still elements of speed, right? We still want characters to be fast, but trying to prioritize max health where we can really make a difference between you winning and losing fights. The next one is Wat Tambour. This one's super easy, guys. Wat doesn't do any attacks, right? He truly is like a support of supports. The reason he wants max health is because at the start of battle, other Separatist and Darkside droid allies gain max protection equal to 30% of his max health. So, the more max health that Wat has, the more protection everybody else gains. So, my Wat Tambour has 100,000 health and, 56,000 protection. I'm now granting my team over 30,000 additional protection because of my Wat. And you could say, oh, well, that makes Wat super easy to kill then. Thing is, we don't really target Wat Tambour. He's not a priority target in a lot of the fights because, yeah, he passes out the tech, but is he really the one you want to kill, or do we want to get rid of Django and General Grievous and Trench and everybody else, right? So it's kind of one of those situations where it's a lot better to kind of mod him for that max health to make everybody else harder to kill. And the thing is, right, at the start of battle, right, they gain all of this. So it's at the start of the battle, they're gaining all those stats. So it's a very, very good ability. It can really change the way that you can also then mod the rest of those Separatist characters, because we can focus on maybe some additional offense or potency because they're gaining protection from Wat Tambour. All right, R2-D2 is one, and this is about just how he shares his stats. So his number crunch ability says at the start of battle, he's going to gain 10% protection for droids, offense for Galactic Republic, 10% for rebels, and 10% potency for resistance. You can see each of these stats kind of go up depending on the allies. And you notice how it says for each? That counts himself. So he counts as a droid, he gains 10% max protection. He counts as Galactic Republic, he gains 10% offense. He counts as a rebel, he gains 10% health. He counts as resistance, he gets 10% potency. Think of the same thing with C-3PO. If you happen to use them together, C-3PO also counts for every single one of these tags. So, very lucrative right there that he gains all of that stuff. Then, he's going to share 10% of his total protection, offense, health, and potency until he's defeated with other droid, Galactic Republic, Resistance, and Rebels. So right there, we're sharing all of his stats. Now, why do we want to mod him for max health, though, is because he doesn't really have that much damage, and because of his relic amplifiers, where he's going to gain a lot of additional health as you put him into relics. But the bigger reason is because of Leia Organa. At the start of battle, R2 is going to gain all of these additional stats: max health, protection, offense, potency. So he's going to share all of that with Leia's team. The reason why I like the max health more than anything else is because when you use him with rebels, and in particular with Leia Organa, he's going to gain 50% for each rebel ally. So he's going to gain, or 10% for each rebel ally, which means 50% additional max health. So now his health is up by another 50%, plus all this bonuses from Leia. It gets to just a massive number that then everybody else gains a piece of. So I really think it's important to try and get as much out of that health as possible, because Leia's going to ramp it even more, and then the entire team benefits from R2-D2's ridiculously high max health pool. So with R2, it's because he's going to share all these stats, and health being the one that's the easiest to ramp on him. Then finally, Kanan. Now, I have the whole Phoenix crew, almost the whole Phoenix crew listed here, because each of their kits plays a role similar to how Commander Tano, everybody else kind of determined how to mod it. Kanan's also shows you why you want to mod for health. So number one, Hera's ability says each active Phoenix ally grants their unique to other Phoenix allies. Forget the rest of this stuff. This is the most important part, granting their uniques. Kanan's unique says, hey, he has a 70% counter chance and recovers 25% health when he suffers a debuff. So you inflict him with a debuff, 25% max health, 25% health recovery right there. Chopper's unique says, hey, at the start of his turn, recover 15% health. And whenever he's damaged, gain protection up, if he doesn't already have it. Remember, protection up based on max health. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that protection up can get very, very annoying. Because let's say that you give Kanan protection up, he got damaged, and then you debuff him the next turn. Well, now the damage you just dealt to him took away the protection up, but he just gained 25% health. So it's this constant cycle of Kanan healing, and at the start of his turn, he's recovering additional health from Chopper. But then we get to Captain Rex. So before we even get to his Zeta here, right, before we even get to the Zeta, Captain Rex gains 25% critical chance, 40% max health, and 40% tenacity. So right away, 40% max health going to the entire Phoenix crew. So Rex juicing up their max health. Then you add in the Zeta. Whenever a Phoenix, a Clone Trooper, or Phoenix ally is inflicted with a debuff, he's going to gain 5% turn meter per debuff, and all allies recover 5% health and protection. So now there's additional recovery when debuffs are inflicted on the Phoenix crew, where, hey, max health is called out. So, again, just another like insane boost there to health recovery for this Phoenix team. Then throw on our Omicron. In Grand Arena, just the base level Grand Arena, 60% max health. So now that max health goes up to, gets an additional 60% max health, right? So, and notice it's an additional 60%. So this is already 40. This is an additional 60% max health. Then, whenever he uses a basic, he recovers 10% health and protection. Think about the rest of the Phoenix crew. They're all sharing in this. So in 5v5, those Phoenix characters are recovering 10% health and protection whenever they're using a basic. And whenever somebody's using a special ability, the Phoenix team is assisting. So there's just constant health and protection recovery here. And again, with that massive health pool, you're ensuring that it's very difficult to kill this team. So all of that said, guys, that means that Kanan, particularly, the whole Phoenix team, but particularly Kanan, because he's your major tank here, you mod him for a lot of health, and mine still doesn't quite have enough. I've got some defense sets, but I kind of like them there. So, but you add all that up, and you get these characters who you're debuffing them. At the start of their turn, they're recovering max health, that the only way to beat them is locked healing immunity, which can be very difficult, or, shock. It's a tough team to take out if you don't know how to, the proper way to go about killing them. So that's why you want to mod these guys for max health. So I hope you saw through this list that sometimes it's just easy looking at their kit, like, what? Yeah, you know what? I want max health. Same thing with Admiral Rus. Just kind of reading his kit is enough to figure out that you want health on him. But with some of these other characters, you see that a lot of it comes down to reading how you're going to use them. And these are characters that I often see get mismodded, or that players don't fully understand how all those bonuses are coming together to mod that character to make them what they are. So that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.